What is up, everyone? It's your boy Ignatius. This is my fourth video in PoE2, and this is the Average Joe's Guide to Mapping, with a sub-headline that is critically important, which is, Juice is not that strong. Yet. First topic. Why do we need a Average Joe's Guide to Mapping? Well, there's really two reasons. It's not necessarily that I'm just trying to cater to the casual player here. Mapping in PoE2 has a lot of strings attached. Towers, there's this goofy atlas, there's all this stuff that we technically don't like, but it's what we have to work with. And what sometimes the community is really craving is, just give me a gear I can throw it into and I can drive down the highway and enjoy the game a bit. And that's kind of what this guide is. In tandem with that reason is the fact that I don't think Juice is really that powerful yet. I've done a ton of mapping in PoE2, and I have taken maps that are completely juiced. We are talking 150 to 200 quant, rarity, 100% deli, everything you could possibly have, rare modifiers. And when that map is done, I see maybe 1 to 2 divine or divine equivalents per map on average. Now, if I tone all that down, I remove the deli, I have like medium quant, medium rarity, like my tablets are a little janky, whatever. I see like maybe a div equivalent 1 to 3 maps on average. And so the amount of work doesn't really pay off yet in terms of the currency or the value that you reap from the game. Now, of course, there's a ton of variance in here, but in my opinion, long story short, in the true endgame, super juicing is overrated. And so we are back to the Average Joe's Guide to Mapping, because here's what's not overrated with mapping. The time you spend killing monsters, the time you spend in maps. And this time is in competition with trying to uber juice. So this guide at this stage of PoE2 is going to talk about juicing, but more so in terms of optimizing your time spent and your efficiency than necessarily on the ultimate mechanical path to juice in your maps. It should go without saying that getting that uber juice tier of map and atlas takes a ton of time. It also takes a massive currency investment. So I really think the Average Joe guide followed correctly is going to bring you more value out of the game than the super juiced path. In the background, while I've been talking this whole time, you've been watching me crush this incredibly juiced Dawn of the Hunt map that has incredible quant, rarity, rare monsters, all of the game content also juiced with the triple breach. All I found was an orb of chance in terms of divine equivalents, and you'll notice I found a 5 divine omen of whittling from the ritual, which had very little to do with the map mods whatsoever. So case in point, if I'm just grinding more maps, I'm much more likely to produce more divine equivalent profit than if I'm slowing down a whole lot, investing currency and time into maps and not farming more. Alright, the first thing the Average Joe needs to know are some basic things about your atlas, especially the non-negotiables. So, section 1, the tablet nodes, and I'm talking about the Precursor tablet nodes. There are 5 of them, and they are absolutely mandatory no matter what you are doing. Never start a map without these 5 active. They are here: tablet effect, tablet effect, tablet effect, tablet effect, and then this one, Remnants of Power, 20% chance to double your tablets. Why are these so important? Break down the math for you really quickly. So pooled together, they give you a 32% increase on everything and a 1 in 5 chance to double the effect of your tablets. So let's run through an example. Let's say you've got 6 tablets in play, which is not nearly max at all, but let's say it's 9 and you get these numbers. You've got 42% quant and 60% rarity. So now we apply the 32% increase. We're at 55 quant and 80% rarity. Then we apply the 1 in 5 chance to double, but we kind of flatten it out just to get sort of some raw numbers to work with. So some fancy math in here, and now we're at like around 67 quant and 95 rarity. So you will see that with these 5 nodes, we have increased quant by 24 and 35. Those don't seem like big numbers, but get this. This is 3.5 additional perfect tablets at the cost of 5 Atlas nodes. I've actually not traded for these this season, but I know last season perfect tablets like this were 2, 3, 4 divines, depending on the actual content that they add as well. So this is absolutely ridiculous. You gotta be kidding me. Never do anything without these 5 nodes on. The second mandatory section of your atlas that you should not leave home without are all of the nodes relating to amplifying your Waystones. If I'm counting right, there are 10 of them. There's 7 base ones that give 3%, adding up to 21. There's one that gives 3% per tower affecting. We're working under a minimalist assumption of 6 towers, so that's 18. Then there is one that is a 2% per mod on the Waystone. We are always 6 to 8 mods, so that averages out to 14. And then there is one that is 25% more prefix or suffix, so half of the time it is 25% more quant and more rarity. I will kind of point out where all these are. I've got explicit highlighted up here in the filter, and so you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the base. And then the nodes that are kind of special, you've got Grueling Journey right here. You've got Enigmatic Intensification right here. And then you've got Unstable Energies right here. Okay, let's throw this through the math wheel. We've got our example of a average Waystone. It's got 18 quant, 80 rarity. Sometimes rarity will double in the corruption and go up to like, north of 100, and then sometimes it's just like down into 30 or 40 or whatever. So it's just a rough like whatever average. Now the flat base, i.e. always, brings us up to 29 and 132, which is crazy. And then if we add this to that really average Joe tablet node stuff that we were talking about earlier, not super crazy, just pretty easy to get with 6 towers that have decent tablets, or 9 towers with dumpster tablets, we are now at a map that is on average 95 quant, 212 rarity. Now remember, there's a huge variance here. It's this 1 in 5 chance to double, which I've flattened out in all of this map and all this math. So you're not going to see these numbers in every single map that you roll. In fact, on average, 4 of the times you're going to see less than these, and then 1 of the times you're going to see a lot more of these. And there's tons of variance throughout all of this, but the point to drive home here is we have now only used 15 out of 40 nodes, and we have driven up base quant and rarity incredibly on all of our maps. So these are 10 more nodes that I would never leave home without if I am doing the average Joe's guide to juicing. Okay, the third and final section on the atlas is basically what to do with the rest of your nodes. In my opinion, if you're tryharding as hard as you can, you want to put these into the base, quant, and rarity, and then the pack size nodes. So along the tree, there's some base, quant, and rarity that applies to like all the maps. I think it is 7 nodes total. They look like this, kind of the red on top, the blue on bottom, item rarity, item quantity. You can go with those. They do sort of create a chain to some other nodes that you really should get. And then the other option is pack size. I've got that in the filter here because I don't take a lot of those. There's 4 of them here. There's 2 of them here. I like this little rare chain here, 20% rares, and then 1 rare monster is duplicated. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what to do with your remaining nodes if you're tryharding. And then there's this thing called fun. Don't forget, we play games to have fun, and along the 3 like external parts of the tree is like the fun, unique content stuff. You all are familiar with this stuff. I'll say, I guess 3 things about it. Number 1 is none of them are good. Don't trick yourself into thinking any of them are good. This is the best thing to do right here. It's like back to basics from the late PoE 1 seasons. That said, the most good thing is researchers' strong boxes. These have been improved. I still find they don't reap a lot of benefit for the time and investment from the currency, and you're also taking away from the essential parts of your tree. But I think that's the best of the fun. And then I think there's an argument to be made for shrines, like the Acceleration Shrine and the Rarity Shrine, I think are pretty good. Acceleration is actually really good. Like if you were to find one of those every 2 maps, I mean, that really speeds up maps, and they're about to buff shrine duration quite a bit. So yeah, there's a good argument for shrines. I actually like to play around with wisps and exiles occasionally. I'll use an Omen of Reinforcements, turn off unique weapons because they're bad. I'll come over here to wisps and do the increased area of effect, and then the wisps release on death. And when I need to add points for those, I basically just hike back these rare nodes, and I'll hike back pack size nodes, and then I'll allocate over here to the fun parts of the tree. Okay, I'm going to talk very, very briefly about towers. Most of the tips I have to share are not like really specific to mods and juicing and all that, it is a broad guide, and I do think it'd be a shift of mindset for most people. Number 1, don't salt about towers. Yeah, we don't like towers very much. We like PoE 1 more, but this is what we got right now, and you're deciding to play this game rather than all the other games, so it's your favorite game right now, I suppose. And yeah, my number 1 advice about towers is don't salt. Shout out to streamer 77 Prada. I borrowed this from one of his videos. This mentality, this is helpful to me even. Be allergic to your hideout. Don't spend too much time in here. Spend your time in here. This is where the currency is. Everything is a conversion of your time per currency. And the biggest mitigator to that conversion being in your favor is not being in these maps. So be allergic to your hideout. Don't overthink it, and slam and go. Generally speaking, I like to just move in one, broad direction. So like I'm in this area right here of fog, and I'm seeing this water here. I'm going to obviously hit this tower, and then I'm just going to start looking for like the next tower I want to hit, probably this one. So I'm going to hit this, clear these, and then I'm going to start moving down here and hit this. Now, of course, if I do see multiple towers in range, I didn't see this one right here, I'm going to go get the other tower, right? And keep juicing, but I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to say, okay, what are these tiles? Oh god, this one's Steaming Springs. I dodge that one. This one has a boss. Let me do something special there. I generally think you're just like, you're spending too much time here and not enough time here as soon as you get into that mode. So yeah, slam and go, sure. Overlap your towers where it makes sense. Pick one kind of general direction to go to. Of course, if you see like a citadel or something, travel over there, a unique map that you like, whatever, but slam and go. As far as tablets, yeah, open up every tower so that you get 3 tablets. That's a 6 mod map that you want to go to. Always do that, of course. And then again, don't overthink mods on tablets. Number 1, quant and rarity. Number 2, rare monsters. Number 3, pack size. And number 4, diversity of content. For me, Breach is still best, Ritual is 2, and Expedition is 3rd and last, even though this is my favorite right here. That's just how it's laying out for me in the eye test. Haven't done math and stuff like that, but yeah. Okay, now we're really getting into like the min-maxing parts of speed, which for the average Joe, speed is the most juice you can add to your mapping process. Hopefully you've been convinced of that so far. Over here I have my ideal inventory for like what I am currently running, which includes a little bit of Rogue Exiles, Delhi based maps. Sometimes I use these omens, so I keep them there. And here's kind of my tips. Number 1, and this is something that's like, you have to be a gamer, and some people just want to smoke weed and play, so take this for what it is. But it's something I've been practicing because it saves so much time. Manage items in the map if you can. Stuff that's good, ID it. If it needs some orbs, have the orbs there and run it through its paces. Almost everything is going to get dropped on the ground, and ideally items only come to your hideout if you're selling them, or if you need to do some type of deeper crafting on them, or something more careful and deliberate because the item is looking really good. I really think like 99% of items get dropped right back on the ground, especially when we get into the later parts of the season. So don't bring those to your hideout. Don't iterate on those carefully and slowly. That is going to double, triple, quadruple, who knows, your time per map, and that is going to weaken your juice more than anything else. Same thing goes with Waystones. I'm calling them maps. They're called Waystones. Roll your maps as you go. Don't ever get in a place where you have to do a map rolling session or buy maps. In Dawn of the Hunt, map replenishment is really, really good, and just take the next best map. I keep my 4 best right over here, and sometimes I am swapping out because I have more than 4 good maps as I'm running as I go. So fill all your maps and tablets with the highest number of affixes. If the map is looking good, like it has quant rarity and rare monsters or pack size, hit it with distillation, and then always vol them, so that way you can get the 8 mod corrupteds, and you can get the double like prefix rarity mod, that kind of stuff. And then last thing, carefully organize your stash tabs so that way when you bring your haul up to your hideout, you're not spending time moving things around. You've just got your affinities on your tab assigned so nicely that everything just drops exactly where it is supposed to go. Spend some time understanding and figuring out how you want to do this and working with these affinities so that when you get here, it is just boom, 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 map, next, go. And it all seems kind of try-hardy, but my assessment is that the time per map is the best way you can maximize your value in a session of playing. Alright, the last thing we have to talk about, but it is definitely not the least important thing, is your loot filter. And the reason I save it as last is because a lot of people already sort of have this solved, have understood this from PoE 1 or have some sort of approach, but a lot of people don't, and I think for a lot of people what I'm about to say might be very surprising. Think of Filterblade as a whole nother component of the game that you get to know. That you have to get to know. Think of it as important as being familiar with the Atlas, or as being familiar with your character's skill and support gems. It really is that important. And also realize that your time becoming familiar with Filterblade is going to be hours and hours saved in your years of playing this game. 5 years from now, you need to know Filterblade inside and out, and you will be such a better player. Load your filter. Look through every single option in the customize section. Start to get to know these. I think it can be really overwhelming at first. I can still kind of remember being super intimidated my first time ever in this tool. But it actually is really well organized and super thoughtful. Yes, you can borrow someone else's filter, but don't do it. You don't know what you don't know. And I speak from experience. I used to borrow filters, and I didn't realize what I was missing out on in terms of my ability to customize my filter for the type of content I'm doing on a given day, on a given week, in a certain phase of the season. So don't borrow other people's filters unless, for sure you don't have time to do your own. Think of this as a part of the game itself and something that you need to get familiar with. Understanding bases, item levels, how the Filterblade actually sifts through these things. These will never stop paying dividends as you keep playing PoE 2. And lastly, if you're in a map and you have that moment where you're like, oh my god, I shouldn't have that on my filter, or oh my god, why isn't that on my filter? Hit P. The P button will literally pause your game so the monsters stop hitting you. Hit P and go in, change your filter, and come back and save. That is the way to go about it. Otherwise, it goes on the back burner. You don't end up doing it. Your filter gets out of date, all that sort of thing. I'm not going to go through my filter, and you're welcome to grab my filter from my Discord. It's got cool custom slot machine sounds, whatever. But honestly, I don't recommend grabbing my filter for anything more than just seeing what I'm up to, and then come in and start your own and whittle it down, if you will, to exactly what it is going to be, because that process is not purely utility. In that process, you're getting to know things about the game that you don't know, and they are going to improve you as a player in every facet of the game. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to give you a 5 bullet pointed list that will summarize everything I've talked about here. Number 1, uber juicing is irrelevant. Number 2, time spent in maps is relevant. Number 3, don't overthink things, slam and go. Number 4, follow my principles for the Atlas, Waystone, and Tablet, they make sense. And number 5, have a good time. As always, I'm fairly new to PoE 2. I'm a bit of a potato. If I say anything wrong, please correct me. Please advise me. I've been learning so much from YouTube comments and our collaborations on Discord. I stream nightly on Twitch and love chatting with everyone on Discord about PoE 2. Come on by, say hi, let's do some stuff together. You all are awesome. Thank you for watching.